Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Verses 65 till the end. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajayate prasannachetaso hyashuhu buddhi paryavatishthate nasti buddhirayuktasya nacha yuktasya bhavana nacha bhavayata shantihi ashantasya kuta sukham indriyanam hi charatam yanmanonudvidhiyate tadasya harati prajñam vayurnavamivamghasi tasmadhyasya mahabaho nigrahitani sarvashah indriyani indriyarthebhyah tasya prajña pratisthita yanisha sarvabhutanam tasyam jagarti sanyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato munehe apuryamanam achala pratishtham samudramapa pravishanti yadvat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sa shanti mapnoti na kamakami vihaya kaman yas sarvan pumanscharati nispruhaha nirmamo nirahankaraha sa shanti madhigacchati esha brahmi sthite partha nainam prapya vimuhyati sthitva syamantakaalepi brahma nirvana mricchati. The last session, the 64th verse, we spoke about one who lives a life of self-control. We said self-control is not denying yourself of any contact with the world. Sense control is not sense denial. So a man of perfection, one who is established in his wisdom, goes about freely. He is moving amongst the sense objects, but his senses are under restraint. You know, there are two types of people you find in the world. You look at the world from this perspective, perspective, you find two types of people. Majority people are, they keep indulging. It's a license they're given to their senses. It's a indiscriminate, reckless indulgence. And that only causes irreparable damage. A small minority of people, they shun the world and they refrain, they abstain. Now, both this is not right. You don't have to punish yourself in the name of leading a perfect life. Nor should you give a license and go berserk as if I wouldn't get, there's no tomorrow for you. So there is a middle path. It's neither indulging nor abstaining. You are with it, you are amidst it, you're enjoying it, yet you have a perfect control. These Shastras have written on the wall. It is given out. It's for us to imbibe it and live that life. Either you swing from this side to that side, it's like a pendulum. You're shifting from this side to other. But if you're able to stick to that medium, the middle path, life is very beautiful. You can revel in that state of bliss, of perfect mastery. And talking of mastery over senses, Lord Ganesha, the Lord Ganesha whom we worship so dearly, the Lord, come the festive every year, you find so many delicacies are prepared, isn't it? Because Lord Ganesha is said to have had a great taste. He had an appetite for food. So the best of sweets, the modakas, the laddus and whatnot, everything is served as an offering to Lord Ganesha. So whenever you see Lord Ganesha, you find there's plenty of food spread out at its feet as an offering. So when Christians go to church, just before the prayer, they take off their hat. So I'm a little more comfortable when you took off that hat. Thank you, Raji. Indians would leave their footwear outside the temple. The Christians would walk in to the church with their footwear, but the last thing they take off is their hat before their prayer, before they bow down. Very symbolic, very, very symbolic. So it's very symbolic, plenty of food at the feet offered to Lord Ganesha. And there is a mischievous rat. Ramu sir, sir. Mischievous rat. As just before the class, we were just talking of a rat. So that's why I said Ramu sir. So the rat. And a rat is one of the most mischievous mammals. And rat is compared to a human mind in more than one way. And one of the very interesting aspects of a rat, if you don't know, it's very interesting. A rat is that mammal. It's constantly in search for food. You ever wondered why is it in constant search for food? It gets the food, it hoards it somewhere, and actually forgets it where it's hoarded. It's a fact. I'm not just cooking up something. So it gets what it wants, it keeps it somewhere in some burrow, it's kept it, and it's forgotten, it's kept. So when it's hungry, it doesn't know where it's kept. So its search for food continues. And that aspect of the mind is, we are constantly acquiring. Everybody is busy acquiring. I want this, I want that. And you don't know what you've got until somebody tells you, hey, you actually got it with you, man. Why are you honestly buying another one? You actually have a blazer of that particular color. You don't know it. Oh, is it? First, go into the wardrobe and see how many blazers are hanging there. And you want to buy a new blazer. So the rat symbolizes the mind, and the rat is, and next to the rat, there's food. But what is the rat doing? In fact, the rat has got a laddu in its hand also. If you closely look at the rat, many times we are amazed at the beauty and grandeur of the Lord Ganesha, but we forget to see all these little things. But the Ganesha has got a laddu in his hand, and he's actually looking up to the Lord, seeking permission. May I? Can I eat the laddu? But Ganesha, what is Ganesha doing? Looking at Vidyama. Sukha Prajna. He is just looking right ahead. The rat is asking, can I? Not even interested to look at that innocent rat asking for it. You shall wait until you are permitted. And the rat is eternally waiting. The Lord is eternally disinterested. That is a symbol of perfection. Here is a man who has an appetite for food. The best of food is arrayed. And you have such mastery or control. And the Lord Ganesha is a human body with an elephant head, a disproportionate head to a human body, isn't it? Elephant is the biggest animal. So the biggest animal head was chosen to put on a human body. It is jarring to look at. But why did they choose an elephant head? Elephant head symbolizes a man with grand wisdom. When you say grand, it means something, the grand ballroom. Royal. When you say use the word royal or grand, it's something extraordinary. There's a top class, a top notch. So the biggest head symbolizes here as a man of grand wisdom. A giant intellect could control the mischievous rat, the mind. Ever under his control. So the 54th verse said, so 64th verse said, if you operate on your mind, you lose your peace. So the equation we gave for the 64th verse was peace produces intellect. Am I right? No, what was 64? 64 is not peace produce intellect. I'm saying wrong and yet you are nodding the head. I tell you exactly the opposite and yet nobody said. So the 64th verse says intellect produces peace. The 65th verse says peace produces intellect. Quickly, I mentioned the two quintessential statements I made. The first, the world you live in is not designed to cater to any individual's likes and dislikes. So you must learn to adapt to different situations and circumstances that you relate with. Rather than expecting the world to fit into your likes and dislikes, you have to constantly align to what the world is so that you create a harmony within. You fail to do so, you have lost your peace. Secondly, what you like to do may not be what you ought to do in life. Remember these quintessential statements, and if you apply this, you will find prasadam adhigacchati. You will have the prasada. Correct? 65. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajayate prasannachetaso hyashuhu buddhi paryavatishthate. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajayate Prasannacetaso hyashuhu buddhit paryavatisthate. In that peace, continuity. Prasadam adhigacchati. In this next mantra, prasade, in that peace, all your sorrows are destroyed. For the intellect of the tranquil-minded soon becomes steady. Prasanna cetaso hyashuhu buddhi paryavatisthate, steady. Prasanna chetasaha. Prasanna chetasaha means the tranquil minded. So the equation here is, it is the peace that produces the intellect. Sir, I'm repeating it so that we get the point. A human being is defined by the choices you make and I make, isn't it? Yes. And it is the intellect that makes the right choice, the wise choice. Now, when you want your intellectual clarity to be available to you, that is when you can make a right choice, isn't it? Now, the question I want to ask you all, not the regular students of wisdom, they will refrain from answering. This is not meant for you. You may be members of this, but please refrain. The question I want to ask is, if you have, let's say, I give you all 30% intellect, all right? 30% intellect you have got. And if you want that 30% intellect to be available, optimum of your intellect must be available to you. When is that 30% intellect available to you all? Are you all with me? You have 30% intellect with you. But if you want to use all that you have with you, when is that available? Morning. And as the day goes, it keeps depleting, is it? Huh? When you are creates a conducive environment for the intellect to be erect. Only when your mind is calm, you can think clearly. This is the equation. When I do my corporate workshops, I tell them that the formula for success, when your mind you can think clearly. Am I right? Only when you think clearly, your actions are perfect. You want to be dexterous in your actions, you want to be efficient, you want to be dynamic, you want to be industrious. When are you industrious? When are you dynamic? When are you efficient? When are you dexterous? Only when you can think clearly. I must be able to make sense. I must think with some clarity. And when is that clarity possible? Only when my mind is calm. So the question is, when your mind is disturbed, your thinking drops. You only have 30% with you, will drop drastically if your mind is agitated. Like when you are in extreme emotion of anger, do you make sense? You don't make sense to the other, you don't make sense to yourself. But still you carry on. Why do you carry on? Because there's no intellect. If there was an intellect, an ounce of intellect, you will just stop and say, what am I doing? Where am I heading? What am I getting into? You'll retrieve. Quickly you'll withdraw, like a tortoise. No, it's danger. You should not get into it. So the precursor to think is the mind should be calm. And how to keep your mind calm? Use your intellect. Intellect produces peace, peace produces intellect. They are like two pedals to your success in life. Whether you material success, whether you want spiritual success, this is the formula. Whatever you want to achieve, this is the methodology. Sir, what is the signage that we often see whenever we go to a library? And I don't think we do that often nowadays. There's a board, silence please, no noise. And even if some two people are silently talking to each other, shh, shh, shh. Why are you told to be silent in a library? Because you're applying your head to certain intellectual exercise. But when you're doing gym, my God, there was a time I had no choice but to go to a gymnasium. I used to do some stretches there and things. When I was in Malaysia, somehow a membership of fitness club landed in my lap. Then I had no choice but to go. And I tell you, the kind of music they put, and it's so loud, disoriented me. I couldn't carry on a few days. I surrendered. I said, then doing that the way they do it. Vis-a-vis, when you are sitting for a yoga session, is there any loud music going on? It gives you an environment. You're conduciveness. Prasadam adhigacchati. So happiness is defined as cessation of agitations. Remember this definition. Happiness is defined as cessation of agitations. And what is agitation? Desire is an agitation. Remember that. To have desires is agitation. And the emotions that arise from the desire also produces agitations. So it is safe to say, the less the desires you have, the more peaceful you are. The more desires you have, less peaceful you are. Now I've given you all an equation of happiness. Please fall back on that. In the document, I've given an equation. Happiness is described as number of your desires fulfilled, vis-a-vis divided by the number of desires you entertain. The desires you're fulfilled means annihilated, exhausted, you've got rid of them. I don't have them anymore. So the number of desires you're fulfilled divided by the number of desires you're entertaining. So the quotient happiness is based on this equation. So if the number of desires you're fulfilled is 100, and the number of desires you entertained is 10, what's the quotient? Uh, 10. Simple mathematics. Ready, correct? 100 by 10 is what? 10 only, no? But let's say the number of desires you fulfill is only 10, but the number of desires you entertain is 100. साहब आपका नाम तो बोले नहीं अब तक, रिट्रीट भी खत्म हो गया. What is your name? Anand bhai. I know you're into stocks, no? Please tell us, please educate us. 10 divided by 100 is how much? Point 1. I'm not as sharp as you, huh? So, उतना नमस्कार करेंगे तो हमें भी नमस्कार करना पड़ेगा. So you see the thing, if your desires are fulfilled is 100, entertained is 10. You kept on increasing new desires and demands, your happiness reduces drastically to point 0.1.
How is the first equation? The entertain can be more than the fulfill can be more than entertain.
You already have X number of desires with you. You already have, isn't it? You're very wisely, either you're exhausting every desire, you either exhaust every desire through experience or through knowledge. Sir, I remember seeing a simple placard on all these traffic signals which said, speed thrills, but it kills. Oh, let me experience it. Huh? Speed thrills, but it kills. Do you want to learn that through knowledge or experience? Drugs are dangerous. Oh, let me try it out. What are the consequences of having drugs? You want to learn through knowledge or experience? So there are many desires that can be exhausted similarly. I'm just drawing a parallel. Many desires that can be knocked off with wisdom. You don't have to experience it. So you either exhaust it through knowledge, or when you have no way out, you say, let me experience it here. This thought of going for a holiday to Switzerland has been bugging me for many, many, many years. Let's go, see it, enjoy it, exhaust it, get done with it. How long will it keep hanging, lingering? It's like an albatross on my neck. All the time, it's like a pain in my back. Fulfill it, get done with it. Like that, in that process, through knowledge or wisdom, you get rid. And then you're smart enough not to create fresh desires. So if you operate smartly, you'll be able to increase your level of happiness. And when you are happy, you are peaceful. When you're peaceful, your intellect is erect. If you're unhappy, your mind is not at peace. Your mind is restless. And when you're restless, you can't think because you're agitated. You're lost. Your clarity, your action suffers. This is the formula for success. So the equation is not wrong, sir. Okay? He thought the equation is wrong. 66. Nasti buddhirayuktasya nacha yuktasya bhavana nacha bhavayata shantihi ashantasya kuta sukham. Nasti buddhirayuktasya nacha yuktasya bhavana nacha bhavayata shantihi ashantasya kuta sukham. There is neither knowledge of the higher, the self, nor is there meditation to the unsteady. Ayuktaha. Ayuktaha is man who is of control. Ayuktaha, who is a man of no control. Unsteady. There is neither knowledge nor meditation. And to the unmeditative, there is no peace. And to the peaceless, how can there be happiness? Ashantasya kuta sukham. If you are not mentally peaceful, how can you be happy in life? He's asking you a question. How can you be happy, man? So you want to be happy. How to be happy? Operate on the intellect. Not be driven by the mind. Don't fall a prey to your senses. Be ayuktaha, not ayuktaha. So there is neither knowledge nor meditation. And ayuktaha has no control. So these next set of few verses he is just summarizing. You'll find it, he will be reinforcing the ideas that we have already established. So if you have no self-control, which is an ayukta, a man of no self-control means, Vinayji, a man of no self-control, what is he operating on? But he has to operate on something, isn't it? What is he operating on? He's operating on his mind's likes and dislikes. Remember the 60th or 61st verse, which is that Raga Dvesha. Raga Dvesha is the 64th verse. He says, Raga and Dvesha. Raga is like, Dvesha is dislike. You don't operate on likes and dislikes. You operate on likes and dislikes. You've lost your peace. Ayuktaha. So, if you have no peace, how can there be happiness? So, you want to bring back your happiness, you must. I'm being logical to you all. You want to bring back happiness, you must be peaceful. How will you bring back peace? Is by not operating on your whims and fancies of the mind. You've got to bring some wisdom and reason. Once you do that, you're a man of self-control. You're a man of wisdom. There is a fascinating concept in the 18th chapter of the Gita, where he gives a description of what is true happiness, what is false happiness. The 18th chapter of the Gita says, please write, Maharajima, write for me, please. False happiness, he says, is nectar in the beginning. False happiness is nectar in the beginning, poison at the end. Anything that is true happiness is poison in the beginning, nectar in the end. Staggering concept. 18th chapter it comes. So anything that is beneficial to you has a poisonous beginning. I repeat, false happiness is nectar in the beginning, poison at the end. True happiness is poison to begin with. It is nectarine at the end. You apply it to anything in life. To eat junk food is nectarine to begin with, but then you pay the price of your health. But if you have to proportion it with salt and spices and eat the right kind of healthy food, or the kind of food that we all have been introduced to, the plant-based food, the healthy food, not just to fall a prey to a palate of few inches. I appeal to you, I'll ask you all, there is no taste before it touches the tongue. The food has no taste after it passes the tongue. Yet for the few moments pleasure, you are willing to destroy yourself. How long do you hold the food on your tongue? How long does the food linger on your tongue? Huh?
The meal lasts for 50 minutes.
But people don't sit 30 minutes for a meal. You tell me in your office work, you're going 30 minutes sit at work, or you're seeing a stock market and eating meal. You don't even know what your wife gave for food that day. Your wife asked you, did you enjoy bhendi? Oh, was it bhendi? I thought Karela it was. You don't know what you're eating. The mind is not there. In fact, they say even when you're eating, you must chew food 32 times or 30 odd times, whatever. And when you chew so much, there's nothing left to chew. So you are aiding the process of digestion. So just to put in your mouth and just look, No, we're culpiting as if somebody's going to snatch you from a plate. But just to even, there's an art of eating food. Just the art to eat. Let it, you're there, you're eating to enjoy. Let it be there. Now, the point here we are making is anything that is detrimental to you has a pleasant beginning. Anything that is beneficial to you has a poisonous beginning. That's life. Don't ask me why is it. But if all beneficial things to you had a nectarine beginning, if all detrimental things to you had a poisonous beginning, you don't need any guru. You don't need any scripture. You don't need anybody telling you what to do, what not to do. Automatically you do the right thing, isn't it? But that is not life. The way the life is designed is complex. All beneficial things to you are bitter. Alas, I don't know who the creator is, but he had something in mind when he did that. Staggering. I tell you, this applies to every aspect of your life, be it relationships, be it your work culture, be it acquiring anything, everything, any pursuit of life is the same thing, whether you take the shortcut or the right route. So here he says there is neither knowledge nor meditation. Sir, I think it was you who asked. I said meditation is detrimental, if not fatal. Was it not earlier? So here again clarifies, if you cannot keep your mind steady, there is neither knowledge nor meditation. Means knowledge means you can't achieve anything in life. So if you want to achieve anything in life, what is the secret of success? You want to achieve anything in life, one of the quintessential elements is you must have that consistency of purpose, isn't it? You must be consistent. Do you have that capacity in you to keep that action going until you get to your goal? And what is it that makes your actions consistent? Sorry? A steady mind, a clear intellect, being focused. In fact, it is the buddhi, it's the intellect that makes sure that your actions are steady, are clear, focused. If you don't have an intellect, you become like a feather in a summer breeze. You're just going meandering here, there, you're going. You can't keep to a chosen action. Okay, 67. Indriyanam hi charata yanmanonu vidhiyate tadasya harate prajna vayurnavamivamhasi indriyanam hi charata yanmanonu vidhiyate tadasya harate prajna vayurnavamivamhasi follows the wandering senses. Remember, in the 60th verse he said, senses carry the mind away, and 6 verses is spent on the importance of operating on the buddhi, the intellect. Here he's saying, for the mind which follows the wandering senses carries away the discrimination as the wind carries away the boat on water. Imagine a ship, a boat in the open seas without a captain. What would happen to the ship in the open seas without a captain? Will the ship by itself reach the harbor without a captain? Where would it reach? It would be swayed by the rough waves and the mighty winds that draw the ship in different directions. It will go, don't know where it goes, nowhere it's going. And it will be going hither and thither. It will get hit by some iceberg that you know, or some unseen rock. And where will it go? It will reach the watery grave. The fate of the ship is the watery grave because it has no captain. The ship is left to the winds of the sea. Now you go to the handout. There are certain aspects of comparison in the boat. The boat metaphor. So what is the comparison? The boat is the individual. The ocean that you experience is a rough world. The way the winds is the passion. The captain is the intellect. And the captain follows. Bhaskar Garu. Whom does the captain follow? What does the captain follow in the marine world for direction? How do they navigate in the open seas? There is what they call as a mariner's compass. And the unique nature of a mariner's compass is constantly points towards a north. And the moment you know which is the north, you can figure out all of the directions. So the mariner's compass is what is the mariner's compass? The scriptures. You can either call it the scriptures or the conscience. Write it down. Conscience is your, in fact, take a note, sir. Conscience is the messenger of God within you, pointing you always to the path of righteousness. Write it down, ma. Conscience dash is the messenger of God, constantly leading you to the path of righteousness. So when you know you're doing something wrong, your conscience pricks. The world may not, but you know what you're doing is wrong. If you've had that extra serving, you know you are not supposed to do that. Isn't it, Sanvi? She was running a correct, sir. I know. And I was not supposed to eat that portion, but I ate it. Who says that to you? Your mom, your dad, your brother, your friend, your classmate, your neighbor, your teacher? No, who says that? Your inner voice. Great, my dear. Your inner voice tells you what you're doing is wrong. That inner voice is your conscience. And the conscience is same in a sinner and a saint. You're born with it and it's doesn't change in the course of your life. But a saint is one who follows the conscience. A sinner is one who doesn't heed his conscience. That's all. That makes the difference between a sinner and a saint. So are you following the path of dharma or adharma? Is determined by whether your intellect follows the scriptures or the conscience. If you don't follow the scriptures or the conscience, then you will be at the mercy of the winds. You will not reach the harbor, which is the gateway, the gangway, which is meditation, which takes you to the shore of realization. So that when you take a boat, leave a shore, you reach another shore of mortality to a shore of immortality. The boat is the individual. There is a captain, a smart captain. And if the smart captain is smart, the passengers are having a jolly good time. You're going to cruise for what? To enjoy. The sea is rough, but the passengers are having fine dining going on. They don't have a clue what's happening. They are cautioned not to go into the open deck. So you're all indoors, having a fine dining, having a ballroom experience. But the ship is going through the crests and the troughs of the waves. But you don't feel the knocks and shocks ship through the rough terrain, the rough waters. So the Shastras are so wholesome, so complete. Even when they give an example, there are aspects you can compare and fits in perfectly. It's like a dye. You have the male and the female. The dye has to mold. It has to fit perfectly to create a mold, isn't it? So this knowledge is so perfect. If you imbibe it, brings about a perfect, it molds you so completely, truly, wholesomely. So, what's the message here? Reiteration. If you don't operate on your intellect, your mind will sway your way, just like the wind in the open, the boat in the open seas. Okay. 68. Tasmadhyasya mahabaho nigrahitani sarvashah indriyani indriyartebhyah tasya prajna pratisthita. Tasmadhyasya mahabaho nigrahitani sarvashah indriyani indriyartebhyah tasya prajna pratisthita. What's the first word of the translation? Therefore. Now, when do you use word therefore? When you're concluding what? When you're giving a rational conclusion. When you don't give any rational arguments, you don't conclude. Therefore is only coming to an end of a logical conclusion. So what he's saying, therefore, O Mahabaho, he's actually insulting Arjuna when he says Mahabaho. Mahabaho means you're a mighty armed soldier. You have conquered your body, but conquer your mind, man. You've built a strong body, but what about your mind? So he's sarcastically trying to instigate Arjuna. You've fallen a prey to your mind and emotions, oh mighty armed soldier. Wake up, fight, conquer the mind within. He's just full of love. Obviously, there's so much love, but in that love, he's trying to play a little emotion here and there. Taking him out, pushing him out, trying to inspire him out of his stupor he's got into. So the translation, he says, therefore, O Mahabaho, his wisdom is established, whose senses are completely restrained from the sense objects. Oh my God, this man is not relentless. He is relentless. Again and again, again and again. So, as I've said, he's concluding. I'll just give you what was the thoughts till now. The 60th verse said, senses draw the mind. 61st verse said, control the senses. 62nd and 63rd verse gave the ladder of fall. 64th verse said, intellect produces peace. 65th said, peace produces intellect. 66th verse said, no control, no intellect, there is no peace, there is no happiness. 67th verse said, mind draws the intellect away, you perish like a boat in the open sea. 68th verse, he says, therefore, control the senses. If this is not logic, I don't know what logic is. Step by step, step by step, step by step, to a mathematical precision. In fact, you need to be a thinker. I don't know, was it Einstein or Herbert Spencer? One of them had a placard outside their, who was it, Hariji? Outside their office. If you don't know mathematics, don't enter, he said. Means if you can't think, don't enter. I'm reminded of a very beautiful poem by John Gay. You search it, the first thing that comes out. John Gay wrote a beautiful poem called The Turkey and the Ant. There's a turkey complaining that Christmas is shortening its days because it's tradition that during Christmas days turkeys are eaten. So turkey is complaining, and the poet tries to philosophize around it. I'll not get into the poem, I don't have the luxury of time. But at the end of it, He says, ere you remark another's sin, bid thy own conscience look within, control thy more voracious bill, nor for a breakfast's nation skill. You read it, you understand the context. But in that poem, it says, before you, ere you remark another's sin, means you, before you point a finger at others, bid thy own conscience look within. Before you point a finger at other person's shortcomings or flaws, for God's sake, look within. Bid thy own conscience look within. And he's talking, the turkey is complaining of it being killed once at Christmas. And what is the turkey doing? Eating a nation of ants for breakfast. The turkey, it says, our dear delights are often such. No, it's not this poem. But the poem is, the turkey is going out to collect some grains, and suddenly it sees the black ants. It lived near a barn. But it saw black ants to start eating, and fear not, like me, with freedom meat, an ant is the most delightful meat, it says. It's poetry. And a section of the poem, he says, some men, it also includes women, huh? So many are cursed of the 7 deadly sins, the worst. Some men for gluttony are cursed of the 7 deadly sins, the worst. We are talking so much of food. It is the worst of all sins. Gluttony. And the 7 deadly sins are pride, greed, lust, envy, wrath, sloth, gluttony. Oh, sorry. Pride, greed, lust, pride, greed, lust, envy, wrath, sloth, W-R-A-T-H, wrath, sloth, and then gluttony. Of all this, he says gluttony is the worst sins of all. And what is gluttony? You know it all. 69. Yanisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagarti sanyami tayasyam jagrati bhutani tanisha pashyato munehe yanisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagarti sanyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato munehe. He utters a staggering statement, a contradictory statement, just to wake you all up, in case any of you are sleeping. He wakes you up. He says, that which is night to all beings, therein the self-controlled man keeps awake. Where all beings are awake, that is night for the sage who sees. You can take it literally, you can take it philosophically. Sir, the life we have led, some of us, when I say some of us, those who embarked on this journey, our day begins at 4 a.m. sharp. When you get up, most of the world is still sleeping, isn't it? So what is day for us is night for us. Anand ji, सो रहे हैं, जागे, अभी जागे हैं, ठीक है, कभी कभी तो जागना पड़ेगा ना, कभी तो सबको जागना पड़ेगा. Anand ji was just doing like this. So I said, good morning, Anand ji. I said, sorry for everybody on, is going live. Very sorry. He just did that. What a nice feeling you get after you get up from the bed. So he just felt that he did that now.
failure.
Yeah. Anywhere you want to do yoga, where is our yoga guru?
He did yoga in the morning.
He did yoga in the morning. No? See, nice justification. पकड़ लिया आपको यार पूरे स्टोरी पर नहीं चलेगा यहाँ पे. I can take the liberty with him. So what is morning for him is night for others. What is night for him is day for others. Means our day by the, I wind up my day by 8 o'clock is all done. Dinner is done. I'm into bed by 8:30. Sometimes I even go into the bed 8 o'clock. People in the house come and say, "What's wrong with you?" Not people in the house are active much later into the night, but they say, "Man, why are you into the bed now? We want to watch a television, we can't do anything around you." And that has been my life for over 30 years, or 3 decades has been my life. So literally you are in a realm, in a world which is unique to you, not to others. Secondly, what is awake? Awake means the world. The world is going through sorrow and suffering. So they are not available to that world. They don't see that world. They don't experience that realm of sorrow and suffering. Remember in the first day I said, the entire world is disease, conceit, sorrow. They are dead to the world. Where have they woken up? They have woken up to a consciousness. You may be saying, "Sir, you speak well, but I'm not getting the point what you're saying." To which I will say, "He amongst you sees it, sees it." Yeah, pashyati, sapashyati. Because I can't lend my vision to you, nor can you lend your vision to me. He who sees it, sees it. That's all the language I have to speak of this great wisdom. Either you see it or not. You have to cultivate not the gross eyes. You need to have the third eye. You need to have the eye of wisdom to relate to wisdom. And all I've shed is that wisdom to you all. But you need to have the eye of wisdom. To the extent you have it, you see it. This is a bouncer. Never mind. Revisit some other time. Okay. 70. Apuryamanam achala pratishtam samudramapa pravishanti yadva tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sashanti mapnoti na kamakami. Now you notice this verse, there's a slight change in the meter as well. The music also has changed. Intentionally has changed because he's giving a very, very important message. If you remember the first, when I said he explains it in the 70th verse, he explains it. So here he says, what is that state of a man who's attained perfection? He says, he attains peace in whom all the objects of enjoyment enter. How? As the waters of the ocean, which fills from all sides, remains unmoved, but not the desire of the objects. There's no need to get confused. He's only comparing a man of perfection to an ocean. Now, an ocean, you find millions, quadrillions gallons of water is constantly pumped into the ocean every day, isn't it? The Nile, the Amazon, the Ganges, the Brahmaputra, the known, unknown rivers, all of them pump their waters into the ocean. Whether it can be the peak summer or the most heavy monsoon, do you find the ocean has swelled and overflown and entered the homes and cities and destroyed? No. It is not, the ocean is not like a lake or a tank. In Indian homes, we have this problem. You have to switch on the motor to fill the tank. And then when it overflows, aapki tank hi bhar gayi hai, band kar dijiye, an announcement will come. You all know that? You all not seen India enough. Please come and stay now. You please be our guest. Please come and stay with us. Vinayji, you are invited. Please be our guest at our home. You are invited. Special invitation to only Vinaya. So if you are not being invited, so please. That's an attachment I've developed for him. I've got a soft corner there. Raviji, next is you. Next is you. So there is this announcement happens. Tells tanki bhar gayi hai. Means your tank has overflown. You have some alarm system that will start making this announcement. That means you'll have to go and switch off the motor. But nothing like that happens to the ocean. So much water goes into the ocean. The ocean is what is known as Paripurna. Paripurna is wholesome, full, complete. All the rivers can't swell it. Similarly, all the enjoyment, all the sorrow, all the joy in him makes no difference to him. Somebody gives you, Raviji, let's say, your grandchild or your son or your son or daughter. You go back and Diwali gift, a brand new Mercedes is there for you, gifted, surprise gift. Not that you've not seen or driven an expensive car, but when you receive a Diwali gift, does it add to your joy content? Of course, isn't it? Of course. If I had 10 units of joy, that gift will add another 2 units of joy. But that scope doesn't exist to a man of perfection. Because he's already infinite. He's already attained that infinite happiness or bliss. There's nothing that can add to his happiness. You go back home, you realize your house is got by fire. What is the loss of a home? What is the loss of a car? What is the loss of a Mont Blanc? Correct? Huh? She teaches me how to pronounce things. So whenever I say so, I check with her, have I pronounced it correctly? Correctly? Sumatima, Mont Blanc. Correct? Huh? Sir, you're also, there are too many professors of English literature here, so I should not be childishly speaking like this. Please correct me, sir, if I have not. Have I spelled it correctly, sir? So I shall. What is the loss of a Mont Blanc? What's the loss of your job? What is the loss of your family member? The greatest of loss is no loss. The greatest of gain is no gain. Means he has reached that state of fullness where nothing affects him. It doesn't mean they don't feel the joy or sorrow. It only means they're not affected by joy or sorrow. Don't misunderstand. Secondly, the ocean never goes to the river. The rivers come to the ocean. Similarly, he is not the desirer of objects. He doesn't run behind the world for happiness. All the objects of enjoyment come to him. He doesn't go in search for happiness in the world. Objects come to him. And when they come to him, it doesn't make a difference. What an example. What a classic example of a man of perfection, Paripurna. Oh, staggering, staggering. My hair stands on it when I say that. You should feel the vibration. You should feel the wisdom, penetrating through you. If it doesn't, credit goes to the speaker. He's not good enough to communicate. Never mind. Somewhere you have to pass the credit, no? 71. Vihaya kamanya spruhaha nirmamo nirahankaraha sashantimadhigacchati. Vihaya kamanya sarvan pumam sharati nispruhaha nirmamo nirahankaraha sashantimadhigacchati. That man attains peace who abandons all desires, moves about without longing, without the sense of I-ness and minus. Again, he's summarizing all the four answers here. The man who attains peace, who abandons all desires, was said in verse 55, free from desires, act like a tortoise in 58, without yearnings, without longing in 56, no I and my, no attachment in 57. Such a person attains peace. Summarizing, all the four answers has been summarized in 71. It's a classical masterpiece. Can't be more precise and perfect than these men. 72. Esha Brahmi sthite partha nainam prapya vimuhyati sthitva syamanta kalebi brahma nirvana mruchati. Esha Brahmi sthite partha nainam prapya vimuhyati sthitva syamanta kalebi brahma nirvana mruchati. This is the Brahmic state, Arjuna, or Partha. Attaining this, none is deluded. Being established therein, even at the end of life, one attains oneness with Brahman. This is the state of Brahman. What is the state of Brahman? The ocean, which is just mentioned. That is the state of Brahman. Attaining it, none is deluded. You're free from delusion. Even at the end of this birth means Jivan Mukti, even before this birth of yours ends, my dear friends, remember, you have a fair chance to get to that Brahman. You've got to think that way. That is your state. It is your natural state. You belong to it. Strive to get to that truth. Strive to get to that perfection. You're seeking your own self. You know your body. You know your mind. You know your intellect. You know your outer self. You know your inner self, but you know not your real self. And you are nothing other than your own self, which is the truth, the reality, the Brahman. And one, he's saying, you have that possibility to get to that state by the end of this birth. And one who states that, reaches a state, attains Brahman. So this concludes the text. Do we have, okay, we don't have the last chanting section, but it's there in your handouts. It's tradition, we concluded with that. Om Tat Sat Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Sankhya Yogo Nama Dvitiyo Dhyaya. As tradition calls, whenever we finish a text, we will chant the first mantra. Here we will chant with the 54th verse, which we started with just beginning. Okay, so we chant 54. Once, let's all of us together. Please. Arjuna samadhistasya keshava sthitadi kim prabhasheta kimasitam vrajeta kim. Thank you very much. I don't know whether we have done justice because we can never do justice, but it is. Thank you.